IHSBCA Hall of Fame banquet. I would like to thank all the coaches, past and present, that have worked long hours to make events like this and others happen. Without the volunteer efforts of these people, the Hall of Fame banquet, the North-South All-Star Series, and other events couldn't function or couldn't exist. I would also like to invite all the coaches, young and old, to get involved, make their voices heard in the association, as well as encourage other coaches to join and give assistance to the association. Before we get started, I would like to recognize two special guests. Mark Flickinger of Jostens, who provides the rings for our Coaches of the Year. It's an honor to be named Coach of the Year, and Jostens allows them to be recognized. And James Robinson, a retired umpire and member of our Hall of Fame class of 2022. James helps inform our coaches of rule changes every year, and he runs the rules meeting tomorrow at our clinic. Special thanks is also in order for Mr. Sweet Lou, Jeff Lusader, and Mr. Steve Craw for conducting a press conference, aka the Red Carpet Show, with Hall of Fame inductees and recording the banquet speeches for playback on YouTube. Access that by typing IHSBCA Hall of Fame. Steve Craw covers the state baseball scene with his blog IndianaRBI.com. Steve, Sweet Lou, Dan Hardy the Hat Guy, Chris Beecham, and Mark De La Garza are launching Baseball Across Indiana. BaseballAcrossIndiana.com on the web, and Home Plate BAI on Twitter. A weekly web show and website here at the clinic. Please stop by their table in the hall to provide information or for an interview. All Hall of Fame video content will also be linked at BaseballAcrossIndiana.com. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Brian Abbott of Huntington, the Executive Director of the IHSBCA, who will get our banquet started. I'm sorry. It's my pleasure to present Mr. Phil McIntyre to present the coaching awards.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this Hall of Fame banquet. What a special honor we are here to introduce all our inductees, as well as a celebration of all our coaches here, their accomplishments this past year. Personally, this Coaches Association means everything to our coaching staff and to the Hall of Fame committee. And I have to say that for me, this is a very special night as well because of Mr. Wayne Johnson getting me involved in high school baseball. I did my student teaching in Brownsburg, and this is where it started in Brownsburg with Mr. Wayne Johnson. I'll always be grateful for him. And then to be able to have the lineage of all the boys and Coach O'Neill and Drew with the state championship. So I just want to say that personally, it's been a great ride for me because of these guys. Now, to celebrate the accomplishments of our coaches the past year in their 2022 season, we're going to honor the Victory Club of 100 wins. 100 wins were given by Trevor McConnell this year of his 7th year at Bar Reeve High School. Hold your applause to the end, please. The 200 win victory mark, Eric Heisner from Eastern Greentown. 200 wins, Sean Lyons in his 10th year at New Palestine High School. And at 200 wins, Blake Mollenkoff, 17 years at Caston High School. Now the 300 win victory march. Mr. Phil Klusner, 20 years, Bloomington South. Reaching the 500 win mark for high school baseball. In his 25th year, Joe Decker, Silver Creek High School. And what an amazing year for this gentleman. His team won the state championship at Penn High School, and in his 35th year, Greg Dykus has gotten his 700th win in high school baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give these coaches a round of applause for all their accomplishments and their victories. Thank you, gentlemen. And now, another amazing honor. Every year, a coach is honored in their district to be Coach of the Year, and we honor him tonight. Last year's season in District A, from Hobart High School, Trent Howard. From District B, from LaPorte High School, Scott Up. As well as, from the same district, from Valparaiso, Todd Evans. From District C, from Fairfield High School, Darren Kaufman. From District E, from Western High School, Ryan Berryman, as well as from Eastern Greentown, Eric Heisner. From District F, from Monroe Central, Matt Dakeman. From District G, from Center Grove High School, Keith Hatfield. From District H, from Batesville High School, Justin Tucker. From District I, from Oak Hill High School, Shane Edwards. As well as from Rochester High School, Corey Good. From District K, from Fishers High School, Matt Cherry. Go ahead and scoot down, guys, if you don't mind. Just go ahead and scoot down. Thank you. From District L, from Barbuff High School, Jeff Scott. From District N, from Silver Creek High School, Joe Decker. From District O, from Bar Reeve High School, Trevor McConnell. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for these district coaches of the year. Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations. Nice job. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Executive Director, Mr. Brian Abbott.
It's really great to see all these coaches up here in their district that had a lot of good seasons, but we all know at the end of the year, there's only one person left standing to win the state title, and we want to honor those guys right now because that's a tough journey. And it's a great journey, but also there's a reward at the end. A lot of people involved, and so we want to recognize these guys. Mark, raise your hand down here. Mark Flickinger. He was our sponsor from Jostens. We got a ring and a plaque for the guys, and so tremendous honor to be honored in State Coach of the Year. In Class 1A, and please hold your applause at the end. In Class 1A from Lafayette Central Catholic High School, we have Tim Bourdonnais. Coach Bourdonnais led the Knights to a 27-6 record and the school's 8th title. Every one of those is underneath the Tim's watch, so that's another outstanding accomplishment for Coach Bourdonnais. Tim, congratulations. Class 2A from Ileana Christian High School, Jeff Vanderwood. Coach Vanderwood led the Vikings to the 22-7 record and the school's first state title. Jeff, congratulations. Dave Pishker from Andrean High School. Coach Pishker led the 59ers to a 32-4 record and the school's 8th state title in baseball. Again, all with Coach Pishker at the helm. Congratulations, Dave. From Penn High School in Class 4A, we have Greg Dykos. He led the Kingsmen to a 26-6 record. It was the school's 5th state title. Again, all of those with Coach Dykos at the helm. Congratulations, Greg. I think it's neat to see, we'll give him a round of applause here in a minute, but I think it's neat to see that people that have established a program and stayed with it, and consistency has a lot to do with being able to be a winner in sports. So let's have a nice round of applause for these guys. Next back up will be Phil McIntyre masquerading as Brian Abbott.
It's been addressed that we found a purse, so if you have lost your purse, we do have it up here at the table. Okay, just let you know. Thank you, Jeff. All right. Well, this is the time that we have a special introduction to all of our Hall of Famers who are in attendance tonight. At this time, I would like to introduce all past Hall of Famers and their spouses that are in attendance tonight. And when I announce your name, please stand. And if you have a spouse and they were willing to stand, you're more than willing as able. And you can refer to pages 6 and 7, everyone, in your program while we go through this process. It's a great honor. Our 2021 inductees from last year. It's Mr. James Robinson from Kokomo. Hold your applause to the end, please. Chris McIntyre from New Albany. And Steve Strayer from Crown Point. Our 2020 inductees. Again, if you're here, please stand. Brian Abbott from Eastbrook, Huntington North. And Mr. Scott Upp from LaPorte High School. Our 2019 inductee from Brownsburg, Coach Pat O'Neill. Our 2017 inductee from Shakamak, Chip Sweet. 2016 inductee from Bloomington South, Greer Warner. Our 2015 inductee from South Bend Clay, Coach Chip O'Neill. 2014 inductee from Benton Central, Mr. Gary DeHaven, as well as from New Haven, Dave Bishop. 2013 inductee from Chesterton High School, Jack Campbell. 2012 inductee from Western High School, Ty Calloway, as well as from Lafayette Central Catholic, Mr. Coach Tim Bournet. From 2011 inductee from Penn High School, Greg Dykes. Going to the 2009 inductees here tonight. From Huntington University, Mike Frame, as well as from Wapani, Brian Dudley. 2018 inductee from Center Grove, Dave Gandolf. 2007 inductee from New Point, Decatur County, Dyer Miller, as well as from Jasper High School, Coach Terry Gobert. 2016 inductee from Andrean High School, Coach Dave Pischker. In attendance tonight from the 2004 class, from Taylor Kokomo, George Ferris. From 2002 inductee from Roncalli, Coach John Wirtz. From 2001 inductee class from Hampton Southeastern, Coach Kenny Seitz. Now in the 2000s. 2000 class from Noblesville High School, Coach Denny Cass. 1998 inductee from McCutcheon High School, Coach Jake Burton. 1996 inductee from Madison, Coach Gary O'Neill. Going to 1994, the inductee from Princeton High School, Tim Nante. 1993 inductee, Jeffersonville, Coach Larry Sigler. And going in the 1990 inductee class, from Jasper High School, Mr. Coach Ray Howard. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give these gentlemen a round of applause for being Hall of Famers and being here tonight for today's induction. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, I would like to introduce our 2007 Hall of Fame inductee, Terry Gobert of Jasper, in talking about our Hall of Fame spotlight of tonight.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, and I'm not going to read everything on the bio. I figure over half of you went to a school in southern Indiana, so you can read. And it's Jake Burton. And Jake, would you stand, please? He never does what he's asked to do or told to do. Jake Burton has been a head coach for 43 years in Indiana. Over 878 wins, 2 state titles. Head coach at McCutcheon High School for 37 years. Then he retired, and the umpires begged him to come back. They were bored. He spent this will be his 7th year at Twin Lakes. He's a high energy guy. He's an old school guy. Jake once got thrown out of a doubleheader home game, and somehow someone let the air out of all 4 tires on the umpire that threw him out before we had video cameras in parking lots. This part I want to really stress. Jake Burton is a man who loves Indiana high school baseball. He loves the game of baseball. He's one of the most respected men in our state. Please join me in giving a round of applause and honoring a man I respect and love, Mr. Jake Burton. Thank you. Okay, he's getting old. He couldn't hear any of it. I'll go back and tell him what we said. It's my honor now to introduce the 1990 class of the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame, but more importantly, he is the lifeblood of the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame, the executive director, Mr. Ray Howard.
It's my honor to get to present the honorees for tonight. First, our 206th inductee is Lenny Johnson. 11-year major league career, spent the off season for the most part, and a little bit in southern Indianapolis at Southport, and lived there in the off season for many of the times that he was playing and managing. He also, at this point, he spent some time at Indianapolis with the Indians, and 7 years there. While there, he won 3 titles in 61, 62, and 63. And if you're ever in Victory Field, you go down their hallway upstairs, you'll find a big picture of Lenny hanging on the wall. Spent time managing for the Bluefish Orioles and worked with the Orioles organization in many different capacities over the time. Would you please welcome the 206th inductee into the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame, Lefty Johnson. His plaque will be received by his son, Danny. Welcome him, please.
Good evening. Who's Len Johnston? Lenny quietly and humbly spent 68 seasons of professional baseball. 1952 to 2019. He'll be 95 in 2 months. Just was unable to attend tonight. He hails from Saginaw, Michigan. He went to Arthur Hill High School. Graduated in 1946. 4 sports: baseball, basketball, football, and track, and won baseball and basketball championships there. He went on to the Army in 46 and 47, was a paratrooper. Came back in 1948 and attended Western Michigan University, where his mother had written a letter to how good he was in football. But he did love football, but baseball was his first love. He played both sports After 4 years at Western, he helped lead them to 3 football MAC championships and 4 baseball MAC championships. He later was inducted to the Western Michigan Hall of Fame for football and baseball. He was signed by the White Sox in 1952 and played 15 minor league seasons, 12 which were in AAA. In 1953, where he hit .319, had 199 hits, stole 60 bases. He was the minor league player of the year. And then in 1956, he was the Look Magazine All-Star for the AAA Richmond Yankees, where he hit .294, stole 40 bases, had 182 hits. He was a center fielder for the Richmond Yankees. And the one big problem with that is, in 1956, the center fielder for the New York Yankees was a guy named Mickey Mantle. He went on to lead leagues 7 times in stolen bases. And his last 7 years, he was in the minors. He played here in Indianapolis, 1960 through 66. As Ray said, they won 3 consecutive championships in 61, 62, and 63. In 1960, he hit .304 with 23 stolen bases and only 270 at-bats. And in 64, he hit .316 at age 36. He's very fond of Indianapolis, Max Schumacher and his family, and had held a relationship with them to this day. The last 2 years with the Indians, in 65 and 66, he was player coach, and that would lead him into the next 53 years of professional baseball. He was hired in 67 to manage the Burlington Senators, where he had to insert himself in the lineup at age 39 for 2 games. He had 5 at-bats, got a hit, and drove in 2 runs at 39 years old. That ended his playing career. He had a career batting average of .286 in 1,826 minor league games and 356 stolen bases. He managed for the next 10 seasons, and in 1976, he signed with the Baltimore Orioles as a manager and would spend the next 44 years with the Orioles organization. He managed, scouted, scouting supervisor, national cross-checker, field coordinator, minor league coordinator during his time with the Orioles. He played a small part in the '83 World Series, where he helped get Tito Landrum to the Orioles that year. Tito would go ahead and hit the go-ahead home run in the ALCS Game 4 to help them go on and win the World Series. People always ask, did your dad ever get a cup of coffee? Technically he didn't, but I'd like to share some comments from the social media from former players and colleagues. Then he jump-started my career more than he could ever know. When I thought I knew it all, he would knock me down in a positive way to get me rethinking my position. Couldn't have asked for a better mentor that wanted nothing but the best for me. Another one was, thanks for sharing your baseball knowledge and experience with me. You are the best. You are the legend to me and such a great influence in my career. Lenny, you saved my career, which I didn't know was going to happen. I will never forget you. That was actually an MLB umpire. Another comment was, that's why I listened when he talked. Lenny is one of my all-time favorite people and I met in baseball. You were a second dad to hundreds of us players and breaking into professional baseball life. Love you, my friend. I remember it all, the things that he'd done for me throughout my career. You truly touched the lives of many. There are hundreds of these comments and dozens from former and current big leaguers, and one was from the MLB umpire. I think you could all say the former big leaguers have given him a small sip from their cup of coffee that amounts to a full cup for him. On behalf of his 5 children, 12 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren. We thank you for honoring our father, Lynn Johnston, to the Indiana Coaches Hall of Fame. He told me to thank you and congratulate the other inductees, and thank the Hall of Fame committee. Thank you.
Our 207th inductee, get off your chair. Okay. Kelby, way right, way bright, way wrong. But
Most of the time.
yeah. Currently, he's the AD at Norwell High School. He was 6 seasons there as an assistant coach and took over and spent 11 seasons at the helm of the Norwell Knights. A lot of accomplishments that are there that are listed in your program, but I'd like to mention the 2017 that was ranked number 10 nationally by Collegiate Baseball. At that point, Kelby was also recognized as the National Coach of the Year by the National High School Baseball Coaches Association. In 2006 and 2007, the teams went 64-2. The 2 losses were in 2006. He'll remember the last one very well. Remember that?
Absolutely.
They lost by a mixed extra point to Jasper. I wasn't going to say that, but he did, so I'll bring it up. Those 2 losses in 2006. And then in 2007, they kind of made up for it. They went 35-0, won the state championship, and became the 3rd undefeated state champion. If you would welcome our 207th inductee to the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame, Kelby Waybright.
Hoping you wouldn't bring up 2006. I know. Thank you very much. I'd much rather be standing in the third base coaching box right now, down 2 with 2nd and 3rd with 2 strikes, but I get a chance to give a speech here. Got to start by thanking Shane Edwards for nominating me. I'm honored and humbled to stand before you tonight to accept this award on behalf of the entire Norwell community. I want to thank the Coaches Association for the opportunity to appear on the ballot, and coaches from across the state who felt that I was worthy of this honor. For me, this award is truly a community award. I think about the countless hours and the time and the commitment that families, kids, coaches, from the time they were knee-high, spent in our community playing baseball to the time we got them in the high school program. You know, that development that they allowed those kids to have allowed us to have a lot of success at the high school level, and I can't thank our community enough. 2002, I was fortunate to live out a lifelong dream. And there's been a lot of people that have had an impact on that leading up to that point, as well as during that time, who made that an incredible, incredible journey. And I'm lucky to have a few people here with me tonight. The game of baseball has been a lifelong love for me. Playing wiffle ball, Little League, I'm a baseball junkie to this day. But growing up in Monon, Indiana, Monon, Indiana, Burton knows where it's at, and he just goes right on through it. There wasn't a lot to do but play sports, and I was lucky to have 2 parents who supported my brother Teague and I in playing sports. I played my first year of Little League on a community field, high school field, softball field. Wasn't good enough for Doc Waybright. So Doc Waybright and some of his friends got together with some other volunteers, and they built a Little League field. Got to about 12 years old, and we needed another Babe Ruth team. Well, how you gonna make that happen? Linda Waybright and some of her friends sold candy bars by the hundreds. Need a Babe Ruth team? We'll make it happen. Playing college ball for my brother and I, they were there. and they were there throughout the time we were growing up. I got the head coaching job. I called Dad, told him I got the head coaching job. I said, hey, I want you to be my bench coach. Yeah. What the hell is that? We'll figure it out. You know, and from that point on, they were there at almost every game. And their love and support for my brother and I throughout the years, I can never pay back. And I'm so happy they're here tonight to share in this honor. Thank you. I love you. My high school coach is here. I don't know where he's sitting, but Bino, RB, Coach Bonakovich, Beaner, however you want to call him. The guy was my high school coach, my Legion coach, my Babe Ruth coach, our Little League All-Star coach. He lived next door to us. He threw wiffle balls at us, whatever. Bino kind of brought me through the baseball world. He gave me an opportunity, helped me learn the game, allowed me to learn it in a different way, to see it differently. And I owe a ton of gratitude to him for kind of pushing me to this path. And I shouldn't say push, but he led me to this path. I wanted to coach like he did. And I think we were pretty successful. Bino, I appreciate you being my mentor and my friend, and I hope I made you proud. I got to thank my in-laws. My mother-in-law may not hear this, but I've got to thank her anyways. They say when you get married, you gain a family, and that's certainly been true for us. When I was coaching and our kids were little, they moved down to our community to help us out. And their support throughout the years has been a true blessing. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, Ken and Connie. My AD that hired me is here, Mr. Mike Gilbert and his wife, Chris. Thanks, Chris, for attending. Thanks, Mike, for attending as well. There were many times, I'm sure, Mr. Gilbert wished the applicant pool was a little bit larger in 2001. But he was kind of stuck with me, and I was stuck with him. He was extremely supportive of our program and supportive of myself. Sometimes we needed a little constructive criticism coming to me. And I tried to stay off the tennis courts. He'll understand what that means. Mike, I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate all the support you gave. Mike Springer, our superintendent, showed up tonight, and I've got to thank him. He came to a baseball conference. He's a Cubs fan, so he really probably doesn't understand what's going on. But Mike, I appreciate you coming down and being here with us this evening. After getting the job and getting Doc on board, I had a local umpire reached out to us, and he wanted to come over from the dark side and start coaching. Welcome Coach Gray to our coaching staff. Coach Gray came in and was our pitching guy for 11 seasons. We made a great partnership, a great team. He did a fantastic job with our pitchers. He is as much deserving of this award as I am. What he did with our pitching staff got us where we were. I didn't know diddly squat about pitching. All right, and I'm sure there were times that he wished our dugout was a hell of a lot longer because I was in his ear. But the time and the dedication he spent with our pitchers, Kahuna, I can't thank you enough. You're a lifelong friend. Thank you, sir. Over the years, I had a lot of great assistants, and those of you who coached know that you have to have strong staffs. You have to have quality people. And I was lucky that these guys would come in for pennies on the dollar. Coach McClure, the Bailey boys, Coach Landrum, Coach Kistler, Coach Shelton, Lex Hunter. Coach Feldheiser came back after I probably ripped him more times than ever as a player, and he still came back. I guess I didn't rip him hard enough. But these guys were tremendous in our program, and they were great men, great teachers of the game, and I can't thank them enough. In 2006, we got lucky. All right, those of you who are in here, you know that in your community you have a baseball lifer. All right, that guy that eats, sleeps, and breathes baseball, who knows the game inside and out. And we got that in Coach Goodmiller, who came back to be one of our assistants. All right, the guy can teach pitching, he can teach hitting. And I'm telling you what, if you all need somebody to come throw BP, he's the best damn BP guy I've ever seen. It's uncanny. If he throws BP, I ain't getting in the cage after him. He's now our head coach. Coach Goodmiller, I appreciate you so much.
All that said and all the success we had, not a single one of those people ever made a play, ever threw a pitch, or ever had an at-bat. That was our kids. I'm standing here because of the kids who played for us. I'm standing here because of kids like Smith and Walton, Dale Garza and Kistler and Ringenberg and Shorgen and Bates, Parker, Williams, Gehring, Gray, Curry, Goodmiller, Otis. I mean, the list could go on. And y'all have to admit, those of you who are coaches, it don't suck to have very talented kids. Right? But it wasn't just our talented kids. It was all the kids. It was every kid that we had. Whether you're the best player, whether the kid was the last on the bench, we had high expectations, and they showed up and they met them. They worked their rear ends off, probably because I was a little bit maniacal, but they worked their tail ends off. They played both sides of the ball like their rear ends were on fire. The commitment that they made to our program, to our team, and to each other, and going out each day and playing for the name on the front of the jersey got us here. And I can't thank them enough. But that's not what I'm really proud about for those guys. I'm proud about who they become. Blake Gehring walked in tonight. Hell, he just had a baby. I'm so excited for that young man. All right, I hope that kid treats him like he treated his parents someday, because he's going to be in run for his money. But I do. I'm so proud of the people they've become in the community, the people they are in their professions, and who they are in their families. And that's what gives me the greatest pride. I've been married for 25 years, right? Okay. And I know for most of those years, my wife, Lisa, not most, all of them, carried our family. I may have been the head coach on the field, but she was it at our house. She was the coach. She was the chef. She was the transportation director, scheduling coordinator, and everything else that made our house run. All right, and yeah. Our kids are here. Garrett, Jacob, and Maria. They got the opportunity to grow up on the diamond. I say opportunity because I think it was enjoyable. But they got to grow up around the diamond, and I certainly appreciate the sacrifices they made that allowed me to spend a lot of time with other people's kids. I truly know that I couldn't have pursued coaching in the manner that I did without all their support, and I can't thank them enough. We had some dynamic teams. We had some really good teams. 06 was really good. We just got beat. All right, 07 was really good, 03, but every team was really good. But I'll tell you what, there's one team that's my favorite, and they're sitting right there. I love you guys. I've worn a lot of hats in my life. Son, brother, husband, father, teacher, AD, assistant principal, and those are all really special to me. They're special either in my personal life or my professional life, but there's one that goes across both that I'm really proud that I've been, and I would be that every day, and that's coach. I thank you. Have a great evening.
Our 208th inductee is Wayne Johnson. A really great friend, a man who was really helpful in partnering with me in creating ways that the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame could keep itself operational. One of those ways was instituted by Wayne, which was a silent auction, which we still do today or this year in conjunction with every Hall of Fame Golf Classic that we have in October. He was instrumental in encouraging golfers from the Brownsburg area to come and play in that event. And many of them are here tonight to honor Wayne. His efforts, along with the community, They designed and built Mary Beth Rose Park, the home of the Bulldogs. He served 2 times as coach of Brownsburg, once from 1987 to 2000, and again in 2011. Accepting the plaque for Wayne will be his family, and speaking on behalf of the family and Wayne will be Judge Bob Freeze. Please welcome the 208th inductee to the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame, Wayne Johnson.
You've evidently heard what I do for a living, so that means I'm a lawyer. Give a lawyer a chance with a mic in a room full of people. My wife is already cringing. She knows we're going to be here for the next day and a half. To start out with, Risa, Brent, Christopher, Amanda, all your family. I'm not going to make it. I normally don't practice speeches, but I knew I needed to do this one. What a guy. Ray's already said some of the things I was going to say. Phil's already said some of the things I'm going to say, but I do have some things that I can't talk about. I went back and tried to find folks that have known Wayne forever. Someone that's known him for a very, very long time as a child said that Wayne always encouraged both sides of the team, whether it was baseball, basketball, football, whatever they were playing in the backyard. He started his coaching at a young age. Guy that I would say started him on his career said there was just something about him that radiated. Got him a job. And away he went. Some of his players, Coach Johnson was a great mentor to me. He always put the kids first. He had a great way of running a disciplined program, but doing it in a way of keeping the players relaxed. Brownsburg's rich tradition started with him. As Ray said, he helped build the field. He was the cause that the field got built and the tradition started. He got the youth involved, and that's been an amazing accomplishment in today's world. He was humbled. He was principled. And at the end, I'm going to hit a very personal story that's going to show you these things that I've just been talking about. I had the opportunity to coach some sports at Brownsburg. Not a teacher. It would usually be a slot where they couldn't find anybody to do it, and so they'd call me up and throw me in something. One year, they needed an 8th grade softball coach. This was during Wayne's hiatus. Our daughter was a freshman playing softball, and I'm going, yeah, well, I've missed enough family life, but you know what? You got to do it for the kids. So Wayne and I were talking one day, and he says the following to me: I'm not doing anything after school right now. I'll be your assistant. What? So when my daughter had a game and we either had practice or a game, it was Wayne Johnson and Rick Green. I had the best 8th grade softball coaching staff in the world when the original coach wasn't there. So we had a heck of a time doing that. Got to coach baseball at Brownsburg. Phil started an 8th grade team, kind of a combined team. The next year, it was an 8th grade team and a 7th grade team, and I got asked to help the 7th grade team. Wayne is the reason I think that Phil ended up in Brownsburg. Marion is the reason, Marion University now, is the reason Wayne knew Phil. Brent, Wayne's son, went to school there. My wife and I went to school there. That's how I got to know Phil. It's an amazing fraternity. You know, the folks that have already talked, I know a few people in the room, and looking at the book, Willis Dunker was my high school baseball coach. Paul Ehrman and I umpired baseball together. He was our basketball coach. You know, Darren Miller's become a great friend. His wife, as he likes to say, was a babysitter of mine when I was growing up from my hometown. This is a small fraternity, and some of you may know others better than some know some. But here is what shows the man that Wayne Johnson was. I was on our Little League board. There was an issue. It dealt with Little League and the high school program. I didn't like what was happening. I was a young, dumb, stupid, very arrogant lawyer, and Wayne and his staff was called to a Little League board meeting, whereupon the other 20 guys there and some ladies basically didn't say a word. They're scared to death for what might happen to their children 7 years later when they go to high school. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about what we needed to do for our kids that day. And I gave Wayne the third degree. I cross-examined him like no tomorrow. He was sweating. He leaves to a person in there. They said, your kid's never going to play baseball for Wayne Johnson. I said, if that's why all you people are here right now, leave. We have a job to do. So fast forward about 9 months later, I get a call from my next door neighbor. It says, I need a fourth to go play golf. So I grabbed my clubs. I walked next door. So in the driveway of the house that Drew Storen ended up living in for a while, I get in a van with my next door neighbor and his pediatrician and Wayne Johnson. And I'm going, this is going to be one long day. Wayne didn't say a word. We rode 18 holes of golf together. And in 2011, when he was asked to come back and coach that high school baseball team, and I don't doubt him, but he said the first call he made was to me to help him coach that team. You talk about someone that is a person that has their act together, that everybody should be proud to know him. He wouldn't want this tonight. That's the other thing. This was not on his mind. He actually made a comment, it's for others, it's not for me. But when you see the lives that he touched, both on and off the field, and maybe even a lot more off the field than on the field. He was a shop teacher. He had lots of students, and he would do whatever anybody asked of him. So, Risa, thank you so much for letting me do this.
Our 209th inductee, Drew Storen. 2007 graduate of Brownsburg High School. As a freshman in 2004, he was the #2 pitcher behind a guy named Lance Lynn. I'd say that's a pretty good 1-2 punch anywhere. In 2005, Brownsburg was a state champ. They were undefeated, 35-0. And I remember reading a paper in the Indianapolis Star that said they felt that was one of the greatest high school teams in Indiana history. Attending 2 years, outstanding 2 years at Stanford, led him to be the 10th pick in the 2009 draft by the Washington Nationals. Had 6 postseason appearances in 2012 and 2014 with the Nationals. Would you please give a hand and welcome our 209th inductee to the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame, Drew Storen.
Well, I guess now it's official. We all know Lance Lynn was not available tonight, but thanks for having me. This is an incredible honor. You see all the names up there on the screen, and the impact that they've had in Indiana baseball. Obviously, I'm a byproduct of that. The guys that paved the way, that put Indiana on the map as a state that's not just a basketball state. That's a lot of the people in this are, have been mega pieces in my journey to get to the big leagues, and really shaped me into the man on and off the field that I am. Like I said, I want to thank the Hall of Fame for this honor. I never really anticipated this ever being a thing. I think now being a dad has really put this in perspective. I coach my oldest son's t-ball team, and I kind of see where he's at in his journey, and it's so early on, and to think that I was that age doing that and got to where I was. And it's insane, and I know I can't fully understand the amount of work and sacrifice that's gone into it, from my parents to coaches to friends, my entire family. So it's amazing to be, like I said, the jersey off and the Coach Daddy cleats on. But I really appreciate that, and obviously that's who a lot of these people I'm going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. I got to start with the obvious one. If you know anything about me, you know that I learned everything about baseball from one person, everything from mechanics to pitching strategy, and that's, of course, my mother. And it's pretty obvious. I'm built physically very similar to Jeff, and I can tell that it's those pure genetics, but no. I have the best mom in the world. She took care of anything and everything outside of the lines. But of all the great things that she did to make sure that my life was under control at home, and I had transportation places, albeit sometimes some creative routes, she was always there to listen and knew her lane, and maybe wasn't there for a lot of baseball feedback, but was always there, no matter how complicated the problem was, to just round it off with a, well, that's baseball. And it always was, it was calming, because you don't really know what to say to that. And that was good to have that, regardless of the level and, the wormholes that Dad and I would get into talking about each and every pitch. And obviously the man behind me is my dad. I'm one of the luckiest people on the planet to have him as my dad, and from day one, the experiences that he let me tag along to really shaped me and paid big dividends in the end. All these things that at the time I had no idea what I was doing, and how cool it was to get a taste of the life, to get to talk to guys that made it, whether it was basketball or baseball or football. That's some on-the-job training that you really can't get. And I think one of the things that I really appreciate is you taught me how to balance a career with family. You had about 15 different jobs there. Never saw a microphone you didn't like, but you still were the best dad in the world. And those nights of coming home suited up with a ton of hairspray and playing catch after dinner was a lot of fun. And like I said, I know that took a lot of effort, so I really appreciate that. Obviously, I have to thank my wife, Brittany. She's the love of my life. I'm just really lucky that I had you pretty much throughout my whole career, and obviously now. You deserve an award for putting up with that. I knew that 3 kids would be, really no issue, because you put up with me for a whole season. But yeah, you were the best co-pilot for that roller coaster for sure. And like I said, the baseball life isn't easy, but you still managed to be a kick-ass mom, throughout. Obviously, my kids, Jace is 6. We've heard commentary from Pierce all night. He's almost 3. And we have Reese, who's not here, and she's about 15 minutes old. So we just had her a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I'm excited to see what, if baseball means as much to them as it does me. I'm thankful every day for curated YouTube videos since they never really got to see me play. And so it's nice to share, like I said, and be around to coach them. I got to thank my aunt, uncle, Greg, and Kim that are here. They do a lot of things to help, especially when I was playing. A lot of things that allowed me to focus on baseball, which was about all I had time for and sanity for. So I thank you for your support in general, but especially all that. My in-laws. My mother-in-law's not here. She's watching our newborn. But Robin, John, and Jake Hopkins. You guys really help stabilize the ship. Your daughter does a great job, but to have you guys at arm's length and to help whenever is much appreciated. Jake, I enjoyed it when I was playing. You got to come on road trips. Only when I pitched well, though, because I didn't like hanging out when I stunk. So, the guy that wasn't able to make it, we kind of fumbled the date, but a lot of people know him, Jay Lair. I always say Jay is a second dad, uncle, you name it, whatever it is. He's much more of an amazing pitching coach to me. Again, as much as I think my wife deserves a medal, he does too for dealing with my mechanical pitching changes for 26 years. Along the same lines there, I don't have time to name all the names associated with Indiana Bulls, but I think for me, the valuable lessons, the elite standard that we were expected to play at really taught me a lot. And then playing, the humbling experience of going and playing the best of the best really prepped me for, playing varsity baseball at Brownsburg with such a strong program. And, obviously I'm going to thank Coach Pat O'Neill for the opportunity as a freshman to contribute on a team that was pretty stacked and to hold that role to bring home the state title. And I think in general, I want to thank Brownsburg, the community, the teammates, the fans, coaches, because I think we created something special, as we're talking about with Wayne. We built on that, and just the community getting behind it and turning Brownsburg into a baseball town is something I'm really proud to be a part of. Obviously the teammates in this whole thing. Brownsburg guys, we've got an everlasting connection. I've been fortunate enough to throw an immaculate inning to a high school teammate in the big leagues. And I mean, I won't even mention his name. You guys probably don't even know him, but it's tough to, again, I think the credit goes to coaches, you guys, and everybody in this room on the presentation, because you create a good environment for guys from Indiana to make it. And that's something that's taken a lot of time and hard work. And so that is something that I definitely do not take for granted. Thank you again for this honor. I think this is, this is something that's great, that I was saying in the earlier interview, that it's a good token for all the hard work that people put in and invested into me as a, just telling them that, yeah, you're right. And, it's like I said, I've had a great support system, and without it, I would have never made it. And you got to have somebody that keeps that long game in sight. And that's, it could always just be as simple as it's baseball. So thanks again for having me, and thanks for this great honor, and thanks for a wonderful night.
Our 210th inductee, Jeff Samardzija, a 2003 graduate of Valparaiso High School, long been considered one of the best athletes in Indiana history. Outstanding football and baseball player, with all-state recognition in both of those sports, All-American in football at Notre Dame, as well as a pitcher in baseball. Cubs made him a 5th-round pick, and it began in 2006, a 13-year major league career. One of those spots was in the major leagues in the 2014, where he was a major league all-star. If you would please welcome our 210th inductee to the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame, Jeff Samardzija.
All right. Great, Drew. You said a lot of things I wanted to say, man. It's great to hear your point of view and hear someone else say a lot of similar things and thank a lot of the similar people. So I want to thank you for being here too. Very excited to share the stage with you today. An honor watching you play for a long time. You're always representing the game the right way, and funny dude too, man. So cheers to you, and thanks for coming. Next I'd like to just thank the IHSBCA for inviting me here and putting me up for this award, being in the Hall of Fame. It's a huge deal for me. Coming from a football background, feeling like I had to fight and claw for all my respect in baseball, because you're always labeled as a football guy. Any little things like this that kind of nudge you in the right direction, that you made the right decision, always helps. It's tough when you got to choose a path one way or the other, and you just want to put your heart into it and go all the way in from there. And I did that with baseball, and to be here, it really feels good. Kind of come full circle and understand that you made the right decision. And when those things happen in your life, it feels good, man, because it's tough. There's a lot of tough decisions that have to be made out there, and you have to weigh all the options and go from there, and then live with those decisions. So I'm just happy to sit here and not have any regrets. So that's one thing. But I also just I'm so honored to be here. I think I'm taking steps in the right direction. I hope next year maybe I can get inducted into the Brownsburg Hall of Fame, because wow, I'm glad you guys let some other people up here other than you went to Brownsburg. So that's great. Secondly, I'd like to thank the committee for not bringing Clayton Richard here. If you would look at the at the old little thing you got there, it's two-time runner-up, Mr. Football, Mr. Baseball. Well, we know who got first in both of those, and we don't need to say his name. So thank you for not bringing him and letting him show me up here on this beautiful day. So no Clayton, that's a good thing. First off, I'm just going to thank some guys and kind of tail into some stories on why they're so special to me. Obviously, I'm going to start off kind of like Drew said with my father. Put a glove in my hand, put a ball in my hand at a very young age. Took me to all my brother's events. Made me salivate watching, just begging to get in there to play some t-ball at 7. I'll never forget waiting, being 5, 6. It seemed like it took for an eternity to get in there and get my chance. But I really want to thank my dad for, pushing me in that direction. As little kids, there's a lot of different things we can do and directions we can go, and it takes that parent to grab you by the arm and say, this is what we're doing. You're good at this. You're going to continue doing this. You're not going to quit. A lot of opportunities to quit out there, and that man never let me quit. And definitely was an attribute to the end of my career that was probably the strongest attribute I had, was some resilience. To go back out there, even after giving up a nice 8 spot, a nice snowman out there against the Washington Nationals on a 110-degree day. I think I was tipping though, but it wasn't me. Next, kind of go hand in hand, I'd like to thank my beautiful wife, Andrea. She came in the middle of my big league career and really made the tail end of it seamless. We had 2 kids, which is never easy. You're on the road 120 days a year. For you to be able to concentrate and give everything you need to give to get guys out in the big leagues, you can't have any distractions. You can't. Maybe get away with it here and there, but to consistently be successful, you can't have any distractions. And to have a woman like that on my side makes things a lot easier, because it's not easy. So it's got to be seamless. Definitely a tip of the cap to you, baby. Thank you so much. Now kind of transition me into non-family, which in baseball are so important too, because they become your family. I'm only here today for two people. Obviously my path could have gone a lot of different directions with everything I learned as a child, but when I got to college, I was at a crossroads. I was a football recruit on a football scholarship that loved baseball. Football was kind of me and my dad's path, and we went all in on it, and my whole life was all we did was football, football, football. So any chance I got to go play baseball, I put a big smile on my face, and it was almost like a relief, just an escape from whatever it was to go out there and just shag balls, work on a slider, which never really came around, but we kept working on it. That changeup was pretty elusive too, but that's why you just throw 98 though, Makes it easy. So Ty Willingham was the head coach. He recruited me there. And Paul Maneri was the baseball coach. So Paul recruited me a little bit in high school, but knew I was going to go on football scholarship and play football. So he kind of backed off. Freshman year of football, I had an amazing year of 17 catches with 170 yards, and I was a real linchpin to the success of our 3-9 football team. So by no means did Ty need to allow me to play baseball. Well, Paul, being the baseball coach that he is, looking for any possible advantage, which is what we do. Cheat, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Paul goes to the media and does a whole article about how he wants me to play baseball for him. The kid loves baseball and this and that. So somehow gets on Ty Willingham's desk, and I had nothing to do with this, honest. Ty calls me up and says, "Hey Jeff, I want you to come into the office." So I go in and I see Ty, and he sits me down and he asked me if I want to play baseball. And I said, "Well, yeah, Ty, I would love to play baseball. I love the sport, but I'm on scholarship for football." And he looked right at me and he said, "I want you to play." And which was surprising because I had such a bad year. I was about 40 pounds underweight. I hadn't started the creatine cycle yet, and listen, private school Notre Dame, the hair tested, so we weren't on the sauce like Ohio State and Alabama and all those. We were doing it the right way. So creatine and protein, a lot of weights. So, even with being underweight and undersized and having a bad freshman year, that man, Ty Willingham, still let me go play and approach a dream of mine that did not benefit him whatsoever. So, to this day, to see someone selfless, it kind of reminds me, what Coach Kirby was talking about. He didn't mention himself one time in his speech, did he? Not once. All he mentioned was the neighborhood and his kids. That's what this is all about. It's not about you. It's a team sport. It's not like football where you can just be better than the next guy. It's not like basketball where the stud guy takes over, or hockey where if you have a good goalie, you win it all. It don't matter. It's about everybody. It's definitely a team sport. And if you don't have the support of the people around you, especially your coaches, you're not going to go anywhere, man. Once that confidence is gone in your head, you have no chance. So, I would like to thank Ty Willingham. He's not here. Paul Maneri for thanking me and having faith in me and seeing a future in baseball and saying, "Hey, I need this kid on my team." He has that, and obviously for Ty, for telling me. He later told me after I signed with the Giants, he was the first man I called and thanked him for everything he did and his selflessness. And he told me, "Jeff," I asked him why he did that. And he said, "Jeff, I can't prevent a young man from having an amazing opportunity, even if it doesn't benefit me." He said that to me on the phone. He got fired after sophomore year. He did this and that, and we didn't have that much success, as a coach, but what a great man. And that's what it's all about. And those are the guys that I remember that are selfless and care more about you than themselves. And it's not a lot of guys, trust me. A lot of guys act like they care about you, but honestly, they just want their career to take off. So when you come across guys like that, you don't forget them, and you don't forget what they were all about, and hopefully you bring that into your own life as you go on. I've tried to do the same. Next, the next step, I'd like to thank Jim Henry. He was a GM of the Chicago Cubs at the time. I was fully committed to go and play in the NFL, and Jim, being the wheeler dealer that he is, he called me up and offered me a 5-year deal strictly to just play baseball at a nice number. So I said, I thought about it for a while. Much to my father's dismay, I accepted the deal. My dad wanted an NFL football player, trust me. So he was a semi-pro hockey player, so I couldn't skate, so the next acceptable manly thing was football. And when I told him I was playing baseball, he almost got on a plane and went and choked out my agent because he thought my agent talked me into playing baseball. So I had to prevent that a little bit, and now they're kind of buddies and this and that. But Jim Henry and Mark Rogers was my agent at the time. But they came to me when I was in the middle of the football combine process and all that, and they told me that they wanted me to play baseball because they thought I was a future all-star. to my face when I hadn't done anything. So to hear that from those guys, that they want me to come play for the Cubs, and kind of worked around the draft a little bit and got me dropped down to the 5th round. That's what I like to say, at least. And fell right into the Cubs' hands because Jim made me tell every other team that I was playing football, hey, just tell everybody you're playing football. You know, you slide all the way down to the 5th round for us. And I said, that's fine, but I'm signing over a slot, though, if it's in the 5th round. So we did all right. Yeah, just very lucky. I just want to thank all those people along the way that helped me get here. Finally, I just want to thank my brother, Sammy. I've come a long way from cutting grass, mowing diamond baseball fields in 200 East Park, and you know, pitching against each other, and really just you beating me up most of the time. So you know, that was a lot of fun as a kid. I seriously think I had the best childhood of any little kid out here. Maybe someone could tie me for the best, but to have my father Sam with me, and then my brother Sam by my side, very special. I'm very fortunate, and I don't ever want anyone, you know, to take that any other way. You know, very fortunate, and I'm very proud of the people I have around me, and I don't take any of that for granted. And now, I'd like to thank all you guys for bringing me in and really making me a baseball player, like I said, because it's always been a tough thing for me to deal with, because everyone asks me why I didn't play football. So I like to say that I had some success in baseball, and that's why I played baseball, but I wouldn't change a thing. I have no regrets, and I absolutely love this game, and I'm very honored to be here amongst you guys, and hopefully I can come back again some other time. So thanks for having me. Thank you for everything.
Mic was too high. For us little people down here. So first I want to make note that we forgot somebody on the Victory Club roster, so apologize. This is the Brownsburg night. Hall of Famer Pat O'Neill earned his 400th win this season, so congratulations, Pat. All right, at this time, I need to introduce our Assistant Executive Director, Mr. Phil McIntyre.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for an incredible evening, and again, congratulations to our inductees. We always conclude our Hall of Fame banquet by an incredible gentleman who started and was the founding father of our IHSBCA, Mr. Bill Jones. In 2004, if you all turn to page 2, you will see the closing remarks that Coach Jones came up with to end our banquet every year since. And at this time, I'd like to read what we've known as baseball heroes. Some people think that baseball is just a game. They are wrong. Baseball is about reaching deep inside yourself to catch the ball that can't be caught and hit the pitch that can't be hit. It's about the soul. Baseball is about bad hops, bad breaks, bad throws, and bad calls. It's about striking out and making errors. It's about overcoming all those things. Baseball is about kids who become stars, stars who become heroes, and heroes who become legends. Thank you, guys. Mr. Ray Howard.
If you folks would gather your tickets together.